الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده تعالى ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يقول الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. يا معشر المسلمين، يا أحبائي, my brothers and sisters, my dearly respected brothers and sisters in Islam, indeed each and every one of us strives to be from those that are successful. Not a single one of us wants to be from those that are considered failures or losers. But who determines who is a failure? Who determines who is a loser? Have we ever stopped to think about this scale, about this criterion? Who decides? Society, countries, nations. We should refer back to the one who has created all that exists, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who has created us, and He sent messengers to show us the way and to tell us right from wrong. So when we decide who is from those who are considered successful or winners, and those who are considered failures or losers, why don't we use that criterion anymore? For example, if you were from those who pushed your children constantly to learn the Quran, and you're always in the masjid, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, He said, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه وقال أفضلكم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. He said, the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. That was a way to describe what? Who is doing the right thing? Would Allah put those who teach the Quran and say those people who spend their time in the masjid all the time, they're losers, they're failures? No, Allah would not put victory and say they are the best ones, and then say they're from the losers for those who teach the Quran. That makes no sense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran about who are the losers, who are the failures. Indeed, He said in Surah Al-Zumar, فَاعْبُدُوا مَا شِئْتُم مِّن دُونِهِ. He said, He's telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, tell the mushrikeen, worship whoever you want besides Allah. Why? Because He said, قُلْ إِنَّ الْخَاسِرِينَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَهْلِيهِمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. He said, indeed, the losers, the failures, are the ones who lose themselves and their families on the day of resurrection. That's when you're a loser. That's when you're a failure. When you meet Allah and you have no good deeds on your plate. When you meet Allah and there's nothing on your scale. When the only thing we have is لَعِبٌ وَلَهْوٌ وَزِينَةٌ وَتَفَاخُرٌ. When that's all you have is play and amusement and entertainment and wasting time and competing and rivaling with one another. If that's all you have, how can you consider yourself to be from those who are successful? Because Allah is describing that person who does that, who spends his life in that, and doesn't spend it in the way of Allah, doing good, doing khair, he's a failure, he's a loser. So this is what, for us to correct ourselves, that Quran, that hadith is there so that we can say what? To remind, to remember. The ayat continues. He says, أَلَا ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخُسْرَانُ الْمُبِينُ. Indeed, that is the great loss. That is the great failure, is the one who spends his time not in the pursuit of Allah, chasing after the dunya, day in, day out, he can't get enough. That's not the intended reason for our creation. Because what we do, say, who's a winner? Look at it now. Times have changed. But now, whoever shows up on a social media network, I have X number of followers. I have 1 million followers, 2 million followers. Whoa, he's so successful. That's not what Allah described as successful. Somebody who takes care of themselves and looks good and lines up their hairstyle and their beard and tries to present themselves in the best clothing. A woman looking as beautiful as she could look. Say, oh, she looks like she got her life together. That's a winner. That is not the criteria. That's not the description. But that's how we spend most of our time and most of our lives. And if it's not us that's doing that, it's our children that is doing that. So there needs to be a bit of course correction. There needs to be a change of mentality in the way we think. That pleasing Allah should be at the forefront of everything. But how we look is a little bit different. I'll give you an example. If we're in the middle of entertaining ourselves with movies or football or games or just sitting with friends, and our phones tell us it's Dhuhr time, it's Asr time. Sometimes some of us may be like, oh, we have to stop our activity. We have to stop our fun and go pray. What an inconvenience. If our minds are working that way, that means the mind has now neglected what is the priority, and it needs to be corrected. If we're thinking that when Salah comes in, and it stops us from doing whatever it is we're doing, even working for our livelihood, you should be thankful that Allah made it obligatory, because what you were doing was only going to benefit you in the dunya, if it was of any benefit at all. If it was not worth anything, you are actually wasting your time, and you're probably pulling on sins. You should be trying to pull on good deeds. So therefore, when the adhan came to stop you from continuing in that wrong, you should be thankful. Because now you're doing something that goes for the hereafter, which is your salah, which is your fasting, which is remembering Allah. Because that is actually how you become from those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. I'll give you a story about Harun al-Rashid. He was one of the Khalifas of the Muslimin. And he was approached by Imam Ibn Sammak. And he came into his court, and the Amir asked for some water to be brought forward. And he said, as the water was brought forward, he took a sip, and Ibn Sammak said to him, he said, what is it worth to you, the ability that you're able to drink that water? What would you pay to be able to continuously, or to be able to continue to drink water? Have we ever thought about the ni'mah of being able to drink? Imagine if you're thirsty, you can't drink. Or you have some illness that prevents you from such a thing. He said, I would pay half of my money, half of my wealth, to be able to have this ni'mah. He said, okay, Allah. May Allah make it pleasurable and good for you. So as it settled in his stomach, he said to him, now, what would you pay in order to have the ni'mah to be able to exit that water that you drank, meaning to be able to use the restroom? Because there are people like this. They eat, and they're unable to go to the restroom. They have to bring it back out. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us from this illness and sickness. And may Allah give cure and shifa to those that suffer from it. Ameen. He said, what would you pay to be able to just remove that from your stomach, that water that you drink? He said, I would pay everything I have to be able to do that. And Ibn al-Sammak, he responded, he said, لا خير في مال لا يساوي شربة ماء. He said, there is no khayr in wealth that is not even worth a sip of water. That's what we do in our life. We gather and we gather and we gather, and we think it's not enough, but you already have the ni'mah of health, the ni'mah to drink, the ni'mah to remove that drink and whatever you eat. The ni'mah of that is already with you, and if you didn't have it, you would pay every single thing you own to be able to get that ni'mah back. But it's with us and we don't realize it. So what do we have? A lack of appreciation for the ni'mah that we have. A lack of gratitude to the one who gave us that ni'mah. The Prophet ﷺ taught us many things. He taught us about the value of forgiveness. He said in the Holy Quran, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. He said, make haste, go quickly to the forgiveness from Allah, and to paradise that is as vast, that is as wide as the heavens and the earth. Have you ever been so angry at somebody you couldn't forgive them? You know, we continuously, day in and day out, disobey Allah on a regular basis. And Allah is telling us, just ask and I'll forgive you. Just ask. Have you ever been so mad at somebody, even if they beg you, please forgive me, we turn our noses. Say, no, you hurt me. No, you did this. No, you cheated me. And Allah's maghfirah is stretched forth. Allah's mercy is stretched forth. You just have to approach it. You have to go for it. You have to ask for it. But you can't do that if your priorities are wrong. If you're sitting in the masjid and the only thing on your mind is, when am I going to get out of here? When is this going to end? The priority is off. Where do you sit down? Anywhere else besides the masjid. And the malaika are making dua for you, that Allah have mercy on you, that Allah forgives you for your sins, that Allah grants you paradise. That happens in the mosque, in the gatherings of knowledge. It doesn't happen once we are gathered around watching football. That doesn't happen. The malaika don't come and say, have mercy on them, have this and that. And then we look further at the ways of those who came before us. The Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was a known Khalifa, a righteous one. And it was said that the era that he lived in, it was only, I think, 2 years his Khilafah went forth. But it was said that ni'mah was so great and so vast amongst all the Muslims, from knowledge and scholars, and the blessing and wealth was available to everyone, that they couldn't find anyone to give sadaqah to during his era, because things were going very well. It was said that he learned that his son had bought a ring for 1,000 dirham. A dirham is a silver piece. And when he learned that his son bought a ring that was worth 1,000 dirham, he wrote him a letter. He said, if this letter reaches you, he said, I want you to know, and I want you to follow my instructions. And that is, take that ring and sell it for 1,000 dirham, and go fill the bellies of 1,000 people. Go give it in charity. Go feed them. And buy a ring for 2 dirham, 2 silver pieces, and on its gem, made of clay or porcelain, he said, I want you to write on there, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ إِمْرَأً عَرَفَ قَدْرَ نَفْسِهِ. He said, I want you to write on there, may Allah have mercy on the one who knows the worth of his own self. It may have sounded harsh the way he told him. Go sell it and fill the bellies of a thousand people. But for you to not indulge on your own terms and your own self, and to rather look at the benefit of others, Allah is aware of this. And Allah rewards you accordingly. He rewards you not just accordingly, but more than you think. And know the worth of your own self. Are you deserving of all of these luxuries? The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one day Umar ibn Khattab comes knocking on his house. He's allowed to enter. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is sleeping on a straw mat. We're all guilty of this. We all cannot reach the level of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We go buy the most best mattresses. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. We do it as well. I do it as well. But we have to remind ourselves that that's not what the life is about, and that's not what it's for. And sometimes we can sacrifice a little bit of these luxuries and put it towards our akhirah. Because that's what we should actually do. He's seen him sleeping on that straw mat. And when the Prophet ﷺ sat up, the imprint of the mat that he was sleeping on was on his side. And Umar ibn Khattab looked around the room and he saw that there was a small leather water skin that had water in it that was hung up. There was a small rack that they used to tan the leather or the hide on there. And a small sack of flour that was off in the corner of the room. Wallahi, my pantry for my kids is full of every kind of thing they want to eat. May Allah not hold us accountable for this. We expend a lot of luxury on ourselves. And sometimes we need to pull back and say, if I die tomorrow, where will these luxuries go? They're going to remain here, you're going to leave. So in order to be from those who are considered winners by Allah, you got to be from those who believe, and those who pray, and those who offer zakah, and those who believe in the ghaib, in the unknown, and those who give good from what they have. الذين يؤمنون والذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وينفقوا مما رزقهم الله. That's what we need. They do good deeds. They live by that. That's what is determined as a winner by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And lastly, when we say Allah rewards more than what we do, we said heavens that are as vast as the heaven, or Jannah, paradise, that is as vast as the heavens and the earth. If somebody was to tell you that I'll give you the entire world, from coast to coast, all around, it's like 25,000 miles circumference around the earth. The last person to enter Jannah is what? What is he getting? Up to 10 times the size of this world. The last one who leaves crawling out of Jahannam. He was already in Jahannam and he crawled out and he's thrown into the life, or the spring of life. Ma'ul Haya. And he's sprouted forth just like a tree that comes into bloom. And from there, that person is forgiven and allowed to enter paradise. That's the last person to enter Jannah. How hard do we work to buy a 2,000 square foot home that we don't pay off only in 20 years or 30 years? Or 5,000 square foot home? Or 10,000? Or palace or mansion? How long are you going to work to pay it off? Your entire adult life, probably. Once you got your life together. Once you reach 25, 30, then you start thinking, I need to buy a home, let me get to work on it. And you keep working until you're 50 or 70 years old between then. Only for you to die and then leave it. My brothers and sisters, we'll conclude with this ayah. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. Said, "O you who believe, do not let your children and your wealth distract you from the remembrance of Allah. And whoever does so will be from those, or will be from the losers, or will be from the failures." So we work so hard for our children. We work so hard to put them in school. We want to make sure their homes are good, their clothes are good. But if we are not helping them to know Allah, if we're not helping ourselves to know Allah and to draw closer to Allah, then we might fall into the category of those who are considered losers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. May He make us from the winners, and may He make us from those that He is pleased with. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Just quickly in these last 5 minutes, brothers, I want to share with you the purpose of my visit. I'm a guest from Nashville, Tennessee at Masjid al-Salam, where I've been imam there for over 6 years. We have a masjid that is very old and in need of desperate expansion. It's over 10 years old, this masjid, and our numbers have increased so much. And what we're looking for is help from our Muslim brothers and sisters from any part in the community that we can reach out to. What we're asking is so that we can purchase the property next door, which cost us 1.2 million, and we paid 400,000. So for the last 800,000, we need your help. And we cannot do this without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then your efforts. So we ask you to help us by purchasing one section for prayer. And that one section of prayer is going to cost you $200 for the visual aid. One section of prayer will be $200 for every place. So whatever you can do. If you want to sponsor for one person, two person, three, whatever it might be, that is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the donations that you give are going to go to the purchase of that masjid. That masjid has already many things going on, from teaching Quran, Hufaz that compete worldwide. We have Arabic programs there. We have da'wah programs over there. You can find us online and follow us about all of these things that we do. But I just wanted to share that with you and implore your aid, because we are in desperate need. And we are going to continue this work that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen that we do this work. And we ask for your help, and we ask for your sacrifice and your wealth, and we ask that Allah blesses you and aids you in that effort. So after the salah, we'll make a quick, inshallah, plea about donations for the masjid. And we just ask that at least each and every one of you that leaves here today, don't leave except that you buy one spot. That's what we want, inshallah ta'ala. Everyone to just buy one spot. If each person buys $200 or pays $200, that means that we can probably get enough for 200 places, inshallah ta'ala. So نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى بمنه وكرمه أن يحبب إلينا وإليكم الإيمان وأن يزينه في قلوبنا ويكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا إلا يسرتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لنا وترحمنا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إن أردت بقوم فتنة فتوفنا غير مفتونين. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقربنا إلى حبك يا قوي يا قدير. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم استر عوراتهم وآمن روعاتهم وارحمهم وتب عليهم إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلوا وسلموا على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وأقم الصلاة.